we may have to be in a situation where we look at some of
Port and HRA.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Hukim and second by Mua. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, pass 6-0. 7, sorry. He whispered as he was walking by. All right, so now I am calling to order the Tuesday night, April 15th, HRA board meeting. And first item is the approval of the agenda. Any edits or changes? No? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Carter and second by Doblinger. All in favor? Aye. All right, pass 7-0. And next is the approval of the minutes. What? No, we don't do that.
We'll do that at the next meeting because it was short turnaround time.
Okay, got it. All right, so now we are moving on to consent items. And I do not have the language on how to,
Someone can just motion to approve the consent items.
oh, I see. Okay,
4.3.
so,
You can just motion to approve the consent items. Yeah.
okay, so can we have a motion to approve the consent items 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3?
Move to consent.
And
Moved by Wooten, second by Hukim. Do we have any discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes 7-0. And I have too many papers here. Okay, next, organizational business. And may we have the staff report?
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'm here this evening to give you an overview of the 2024 CMAP certification. CMAP stands for the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. And this is an annual management audit that we complete for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. This process is outlined in federal regulations 24985, as it says on the screen. And there's 14 indicators that are under consideration through the CMAP process. This process, or we complete regular auditing of the program to ensure that we have a high score through the CMAP process. And in this year's review for the 2024 program year, we received a score of 96%, and that is a high performer score. I think we've been high performing through CMAP since like the early 2000s, and so I'm happy that we're continuing that high score. I just wanted to touch on the various quality control mechanisms that we do throughout the year to make sure that our CMAP scores remain high. The first one being peer audit. So our different program specialists are auditing each other's files to make sure that our rent calculations are accurate, that we have the verifications that are necessary for various sources of income and assets. And then also that we are checking for rent reasonableness, which is, as I'll touch on in the next slide, a critical indicator within the CMAP sphere. We also complete inspection audits. So we do a random sample of the inspections that are completed throughout the year and essentially make sure that our inspectors are doing their job as well. And then other things that contribute to quality control is a regular review of various reports. In 2023, we converted to a new software, and this has made this process a lot easier. As someone who looks at these reports regularly, just other ways of tracking our progress and looking at kind of key data points to make sure that we're hitting benchmarks that are required by CMAP. We also incorporate ongoing training and review of policies with all the staff that participate in the program, and then having documentation and checklists for the indicators that are included in CMAP, but also other programmatic components. So there's 4 of the 14 indicators that represent 55% of our overall CMAP score. And so because of that, I just wanted to touch on them because they're especially important as defined in the federal regulations. The first one being selections from the waiting list. So anytime we select a household from the waiting list, we need to document that how that person was selected is reflective of our program policies, and document how we can, how that is true. And so generally what this means from an auditing perspective is we generate the waiting list before we select someone, and we generate the waiting list after we've selected someone, and show kind of where they were before we did that selection and how the waiting list looks after. So that's generally how we document that indicator, and this one is worth 15 points. The next one, which I alluded to in the previous slide, is reasonable rent or rent reasonableness. And there are 2 components of this indicator are whether or not we have a written method to determine rent reasonableness, and 98% of that quality control sample was that we did rent reasonableness analysis for those units. And we do a rent reasonableness anytime someone moves or there's a rent change in the unit. And essentially what we're assessing is that the rent that's being asked for the unit that the participant is living in is not more expensive than the general market, so that our households essentially are accessing units in a similar way that the general market would be able to access them. The next key indicator is the determination of adjusted income. And again, one way we kind of check for this one is our regular peer audits, just making sure that we're calculating income correctly, that we have verified all the information, that the utility allowance was calculated correctly, and all of those things. And this one, again, is worth 15 points. And lastly, a lease up, which is worth 20 points. And this one has to do with our utilization of our budgetary authority within the program. So it's looking at, are we spending at least 98% of our allocated budget authority, or our percent of units at that 98% for the amount that we've been allocated. So those 4 indicators represent a significant amount of the score, but we do also have these 10 other indicators that contribute to our CMAP score. The 3 highlighted in green on the screen are more like, do we have policies around them, and have those policies been updated to reflect changes in fair market rent and things of that nature. And the ones in the lighter blue, those are more, I would say, on the quality control side of things and a regular reporting to make sure that we're enforcing our housing quality standards correctly and that our inspections are being completed accurately to the standards that we have to enforce. The final kind of grouping of 4 in the darker blue is based on reporting that we actually receive from HUD. So as we're on a monthly basis submitting information to HUD, they compile these reports, and basically that we're reporting the information accurately and on time, and that we're consistent with how we're reporting basically. So that's that grouping of 4. The last indicator is family self-sufficiency enrollment, and we don't currently administer a family self-sufficiency program, so that one's not relevant to Bloomington. That was my brief overview of the CMAP certification for this year. Again, we scored based on our management audit at a 96%, which is a high performer, and I'll pass it back over if there's any questions or comments.
Any questions, comments? No? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-11, certifying the statements on the CMAP certification are true and accurate?
So moved.
Moved by Doblinger
Second.
and second by Hoogheem. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And next item is any discussion items from our administrator.
Yes, I'll keep it brief. I know it's been a long night. I'm going to pass out this sheet and make a couple of quick announcements as I do that. So first, just a reminder that the next meeting is not next week. It is in May 13th. And then we'll resume our normal schedule of the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Also, another reminder that there's a volunteer event that you all are invited to on April 29th, 4:30 to 7 p.m. It's an open house. It's a recognition of the work that the commissions and boards put in through the year. There is a pre-registration required, so I can send that out to the board after this meeting. And then regarding, actually one other bit of good news, which is just that you all remember 9030 Park. I want to say that we are on the verge of closing, so we would expect construction on that project to begin fairly soon. So hopefully you will see that being constructed over the summer. So that is very exciting. Yes. And then the information that I just handed out, I just wanted to make the board aware that, so some of this information we've covered, there's 2 sides. It's around federal funding for CDBG and then the housing choice vouchers, which are the 2 largest federal grants that we receive. One of them, the CDBG funding information, the board has already discussed as part of our annual approval process for that allocation. The other side is new information, just kind of an overview of what the HCV program is, and then some kind of just some thinking around what our options that the HRA would have in case of a reduction of funding in that space. The city's finance department is doing a presentation to the city council next week on a large federal grants, and so obviously a big part of that is the HRA. So these slides, these are a draft, but very similar slides will be presented to the council at the meeting next week. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that information that's going out to the council. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know. And that is all of my updates. Yes.
Commissioner Wooten?
Just a point of clarification for me. So the minutes from this meeting and the minutes from our last meeting will be presented when?
Yes, they will both be on the agenda in May. Just because our last meeting was last week, we didn't quite have enough time to get the minutes on the agenda for this one before the agenda was published. So they'll both be on the next agenda.
All right, we are at the end of our agenda, end of our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the Tuesday, April 15th HRA board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Hukim and second by Mua. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? All right. Motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned.